What's a book you love that most people have never heard of? The Best of Roald Dahl. Most people only know him for his children's books, but his grown-up short stories are just as smart and wicked. Edited to include accurate title. The Eyes of the Dragon by Stephen King. Totally different from what you'd expect. Children of the Dust. We read it at school and it was about nuclear war. It was in 3 parts: the event itself, the immediate aftermath, and the later stage where people in government bunkers tried to re-establish a society. I couldn't wait for our next lesson to read the next chapter. My Side of the Mountain made me want to go live in the woods. The Last of the Really Great Wangdoodles by Julie Andrews Edwards. Yes, that Julie Andrews. Grendel by John Gardner. It's a retelling of the epic Beowulf from the monster's point of view. The Mote in God's Eye. Well, it used to be Outlander many years ago lol. An old title that was very famous in its day. A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Me going through this sub as if I don't already have a stack of 36 books I want to read. Lamb, The Gospel According to Biff Jesus's Childhood Pal by Christopher Moore. My comments always get buried when I respond. But Spoon River Anthology by J. Edgar Masters. A super innovative collection of poetry from 1915. It actually elevated him from rags to riches within his lifetime. Swan Song by Robert R. McCammon. The Once and Future King by T.H. White. Everyone knows a little of the Arthur story, but not this masterpiece. The Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury and Cold Sassy Tree by Olive Ann Burns. The Girl with the Silver Eyes by Willow Davis Roberts. From a Buick 8 by Stephen King. Probably one of his least known works, but it's my absolute favorite. It's not unknown by any stretch, but it seems like more people haven't heard of Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha than have. In my experience, I've loved it since I was 15. It still hangs in there even as I get older. A Night in the Lonesome October by Roger Zalanzi. A stupidly fun Halloweeny ride. The Unwind series is really good, and the Enemy series is fantastic. The Tripods Trilogy. The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides. A good handful have recognized the author as he also wrote The Virgin Suicides, but I haven't yet met anyone else who knew Middlesex. Edit y'all, I know it's an awarded and highly valued book. Just saying I haven't personally met anyone else who has heard of it. I suppose I don't know a lot of people that enjoy reading. A Confederacy of Dunces. To me it feels like only some librarians and some people from New Orleans know it. One of my favorite books. Quasil by Alan Dean Foster. 1989. It's about a race of alien rabbit-like creatures that have landed on Earth, but decide to stay hidden. One of the younger ones ventures out and is discovered by accident by a young boy. And the story is about the unlikely friendship between the two. It's a fun little story. The Earth Abides post-apocalyptic journey at its finest. The Earth in Me. Where the Love Ends. Phantom Toolbooth. I'm gonna toss this one out there, but I've got a better one once I remember the name. The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay. The Clan of the Cave Bear. It's a beautiful series and the protagonist is such a powerful character. Guns of the South by Harry Turtledove. Alt history imagining what would have happened if racist time travelers supplied General Lee with AK-47s. The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. Fireball by Robert Mattson. A fascinating story of 30s movie star Carole Lombard. Her early childhood in Indiana. Then growing up in Los Angeles as movie biz was really just taking shape. Her interesting personal life, her taking young actors like Fred MacMurray under her wing, her marriages to William Powell and Clark Gable, and her horrific death in a plane crash just at the start of World War II. I am not a old movie nut. I just always liked my man Godfrey and was fascinated by this beautiful woman who cursed like a sailor and who everyone who knew her seemed to love. Could not put the book down. Sometimes a Great Notion by Ken Kesey. The River Why by David James Duncan. Those are two of my favorites. Thrown in a little Tom Robbins and some Vonnegut. Giants, the Dwarfs of Auschwitz. Warning, not a light read. It's a book based on the lives of a Jewish family where 7 out of 10 of them were little people. Living in World War II Germany. They were sent to Auschwitz and subsequently studied by the Nazis due to their stature. Like I said, it's not a light read, but it's an absolutely compelling story about a real-life family written through a truly unique lens. It really sticks with you and I can't recommend it enough. She's Come Undone. Road to Heaven. Where is the final stop? Sleep Till Noon, Max Schulman. I literally laughed out loud reading it on a plane, which prompted the passenger next to me to ask what I was reading. Today We Are Married. Weave World by Clive Barker. My other would be The Prince If Tides by Pat Conroy. Both used to be a bit more popular in the 80s-90s. But I haven't met anyone in 30 years who have read either. Aside from my daughter. She had to read a favorite book of either of her parents in high school. I gave her my top 10 and she picked TPOT. She asked me if I was okay after she finished it. Tears of Joy. Geek Love. Snow Falling on Cedars. Antkind, Charlie Kaufman, Amaralman, Derek Delgadio Before Adam, Jack London. Broken Wings by Khalil Gibran. Not sure if I spelled it right. The Rose of the Prophet Trilogy by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. The Black Arrow, A Tale of Two Roses, Robert Louis Stevenson. The Biting the Sun books by Tanith Lee, republished as one book under that title. She is a prolific science fiction author, best known for her high fantasy book The Birthgrave, which is also great and probably no longer widely known. Biting the Sun is a brilliant book about a post-apocalyptic dystopia where humanity's every need is catered to and every problem solved, which leads to problems of its own. This book is beautifully written, creative, and was very different from other sci-fi when I first read it 20 years ago. I still love it today. Johnny Got His Gun. Roadside Picnic by Arkady and Boris Strugatsky. Consider Phlebas, Ian M. Banks. The Thief Is Always by Clive Barker. Sister Spider Knows All tore this book up as a kid. Redwall by Brian Jacques. I've encountered maybe 2 people who read it. The Dark is Rising series by Susan Cooper. Despite having a movie surprised I've met one person who's also read it. Odd Thomas Dean Koontz. Into the Heart of the Sea, History of Nantucket and the Whaling Industry. The Dead and the Gone, Life as We Knew It, Not Sure Either are common reads. Dream Snake by Vonda N. McIntyre. The Moorchild by Eloise McGraw. Einstein's Dreams by Alan Lightman. Full of different ways time could work. So fun to think about. And lots of unexpected emotional moments. The Sparrow. Sci-fi at its best. I don't know how popular or well-known this series is, but Oberot by Clive Barker. Covered in beautiful artwork. All oil paintings that he did. I haven't read it since I was a kid and I'd love to get my hands on it again. J-Pod. It's like a novel-length version of a Seinfeld episode. It's fucking great. I couldn't put it down. Everything Copeland writes is fantastic. I'd recommend Girlfriend in a Coma and Microsurfs afterwards.